Alrighty. So let's start with number one. What is volume? I saw a lot of you guys write length times width times height. You are correct. That is how you find the volume. But what is volume? What are you doing?
All those together.
Yes, but what are you finding? What's the point of the volume? Like, what is it?
What would you ever need it for?
Why would you need to find the volume
To
of something?
find the area of a box.
Close. To find, not the area, because
Of a 3D shape. Find the area of a 3D shape.
to find the amount of space that
The
something...
cubic units of a shape?
Alright.
Yeah, so it's the cubic units. So you're finding the space that something takes up.
That's cool. So
Space something takes up.
will you even specify that it's a 3D shape?
3D shape, yes.
Area would be space.
Yeah, these are for 3D shapes. And remember, there we did one problem where it talked about popcorn. Like, I have a popcorn bag that's this by this by this, and it's this big. And then my brother got a popcorn bag that was taller but skinnier, who has more volume. So who has more popcorn, basically, right? Well, it depends on the dimensions, right? We have to do the math. So that's helpful in real life if you're really petty and you want to make sure you get more food than your brother or sister. That's really helpful. Now, number two, finding the mean. To find the mean of all of these numbers, what do we got to do? We got to start by adding all of them up. So let's start. What's 20 plus 29? 49. 27 plus 26? 13, 53. 26 plus 24? 50. And 28 plus 21? 49. Good. Now I need to keep adding. 49 plus 53? 102. Good. 102. 50 plus 49 is 99. Good. And when you add those last two?
That equals 2 over 1. Oh, yeah, 2. But when you divide it, it's not in the number.
Why do we have to divide? I found my answer, didn't I?
No? Yeah, you have to divide all the numbers.
Good. We're not done. If you get to a 1, you're halfway there. We still have to divide. 201 divided by what? 8.
7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 numbers, so we divide by 8. Does 8 go into 2?
Yeah. No.
Nope. Does 8 go into 20?
Yes, 10. 2 times.
Twice, yeah. And it's 16. 20 minus 16?
4. You're down to 1.
I almost said 40. No. Drop down your 1. Does 8 go into 41?
5 times.
21.
5 times. Subtract 40.
Equals
Get 1. Let's keep going and see what we can do. What do I have to do to keep going here?
Put a decimal down.
Put a decimal
And
and add
add a 0.
a 0.
Put the decimal up.
Good.
Maybe that's what.
Awesome. Drop down your 0 now. Does 8 go into 10?
10 times. Yeah.
Yes, 1.
Subtract and get 2. This one will end, so we're going to keep going on it.
How do you know?
Because I can do it quickly in my head. If we drop down another 0, does 8 go into 20?
Yes. 2 times.
Twice. And we get 16. Subtract and get a 4. Add one more 0. Does 8 go into 40?
Yes. 25 point. 125 point. 125 points.
Good. It goes in evenly. So our mean here is 25 and 125 thousandths. So then you either added wrong or divided wrong. Okay, that would be it then. Sometimes just checking to see by adding decimals and zeros to see if it will go in evenly. If you continue is a good idea. If it keeps going on and on and on, just stop and round it to like the thousandths or the hundredth place. You don't have to go on 85 times, right?
I stop when I find like another one, like if there's 20, and then I find another 20.
Like it starts repeating.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it starts repeating, you can stop there too. It's just going to continue to repeat. All right. Number 3, irregular and regular polygons. When you see the word polygon, what do you think?
You think of a shape.
A shape. It's a shape. Good.
A poly shape.
Now, a regular shape is what?
Closed. A regular.
Closed. It has all things closed,
regular
yes.
shape is a normal shape.
It's when you think of it as a typical shape.
But
a square, and a rectangle. So this is a polygon is any shape, yeah.
Is it regular though?
Yeah. A rectangle.
An irregular shape is kind of like.
Oh, dang.
It's an irregular shape.
Not that I know of. A regular shape is like a rectangle, trapezoid, triangle, anything that you can find the area of with one formula. An irregular shape is
It's like
the combination of different shapes.
an ugly shape.
If it's more than that, I don't want to confuse them. Irregular shapes is when you combine multiple shapes. So typical shape would be a rectangle
And a triangle.
like this. This is a combination of shapes.
Oh, I know how you can put those together. Put the triangle on top of the trapezoid and put the rectangle on the bottom.
So yeah, so it could be something like a house. We got a couple of shapes put together. We talked about this when we were doing area. We could find the area of a regular shape, but we had to do more work to find the area of an irregular shape. Right?
Wait, would this count as the same thing when it's a normal shape and when it's not a normal shape?
I mean, it's a very general way to describe it.
So then I'll just put it as.
A circle is a regular polygon. No.
So how do you?
Yeah. Well, you'll learn about areas of circles and stuff later. That's 7th grade. You'll get there. That involves a lot more work than length times width. So you'll get there next year, I think, or 8th grade, one of the two. Number 4, we have division 3 and 2500ths divided by 2500ths. What do I need to do? I can't start dividing just yet. What's the first step?
You have to move your decimal.
Move our decimals. If we take the 1 on the outside and move it twice on the outside, what do I have to do on the
Move
inside?
it twice on the inside.
Also move it twice. If I moved it twice, now what?
Throw it on the roof.
Throw it on the roof. Or as Mr. Turner says, throw it up, because it is gross. Throw it up.
Launch it into the toilet.
Now that we have 325 divided by 25, we can just divide like normal. Does 25 go into 3?
No.
Oh. Does 25 go into 32?
Yes, one time.
How many? Good. One time. 25. What is 32 minus 25?
7.
Yeah, 7.
7. Good. 7, drop down your 5. Does 25 go into 75?
Yeah.
Yes, 3 times.
Good. 3 times. Oops, not 70. Sorry. And it goes in evenly, so our answer is what?
13.
13.
The next one's easy.
Good. And then number 5, they asked, let me read it so I read it correctly. Yep, so the following graph that we have up here represents the runners and their ages who went to a state competition. So this many people were 9 years old, this many were 10, 11, 12, right? And so on. It's asking you how many of the runners are teenagers. We have to decide, first of all, how old are teenagers?
13.
Are we saying 13 and older? Is that what we consider a teenager?
That's what I meant.
So if we're considering 13 years old and teenagers, we need to figure out how many total people were 13 or older. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's my answer, 6?
Yep. Nope.
No, I'm gonna multiply it by the number of people that are X.
Yes.
I got 108.
Yeah, it's not 6.
I did all of them.
Yeah, that would, yeah. It's not 6 because each X that we have right here represents 4 people. So there's 6 X's times what?
4 people.
So how many total people are teenagers?
24.
24. So make sure you keep in mind that sometimes they're going to try and trick you with something like this. Or they'll talk about teenagers. I didn't catch that until I read it. My thought process was we were going to add all of them up and divide or multiply. But then I read it better and it said teenagers and I was like, oh no, we have to change our thought process, right?
I just read the teenagers. I didn't read the.
I might, yeah, read everything, right? Sometimes they give you some sneaky information in those problems. Sneaky information. Alrighty. So there is our warm up for today. That was a good warm up. I liked that warm up. It went over a lot of different things. So we did not get to finish our stuff from yesterday. So I'm going to present my screen.
Wait, we did.
we finished the notes, but we didn't get to do the activity. So I want to do a couple on the activity together so that when you guys do the stuff on your own today, it's very similar to the activity. So over on Google Classroom for math, scroll down to it. Yesterday, we started working on the independent and dependent variable notes. We finished the Google Slides and went through our notes, but we need to do the guided practice, the second part of it. So go ahead and open up that guided practice. And I'll give you guys about 1 minute to go ahead and get that opened up. Okay, so go ahead and get that opened up.
Holy shoot, it looks like.
Two slides, but one of them is
What was it called?
independent, dependent variable guided practice.
Oh, one of my cousins was on here. Awesome.
Okay, so slide number 1 gives instructions. It says, write the relationship between the variables on the recording sheet. So we're going to say the independent variable is this, and the dependent variable is this. So let's go ahead and go to slide number 2. We're going to do 5 of them together, and then we're going to go look at the activities for today. So let's get zoomed in so that we can see things.
Where is the activity a different assignment?
Yeah, but it's almost exactly the same thing that we're going to do right here.
Oh, okay.
Just different words. So we need to identify the independent and the dependent variable. And to review yesterday, one thing will always depend on something else, right? So if we look at number 1, Gail babysits for $6 an hour. Speaking of, if you babysit, $6 an hour is not very much money. Ask for more. Anyway,
15.
based on that, we need to think about it in 2 ways. Does the time that she babysits depend on the money that she earns?
Yep.
Or does the money she earned depend on the time that she babysits? The money depends on the time. So the independent variable, IND we're going to go with, is the time, the hours that she babysits. Because the parents could ask her to babysit for 1 hour, or 5 hours, or 3 hours. We don't know for sure. Yeah, we don't know for sure how long she's going to be asked to babysit. So that's the independent variable. The dependent variable is the money she makes. Money made, because we can't determine how much money she makes unless we know how many hours she works. So the money depends on the hours, which makes the money the dependent variable. So again, today's work is a lot of logic and thinking about things versus doing a lot of math today. Huh? Okay, well, do your best to follow along as much as you can. Sorry. I wish I could fix that for you. Okay.
My parents didn't realize that there was no school Friday.
I'm fine with it. Jade, are you awake back there? I can't see you, so I can't. Number 2 says Dan walks at a rate of 8 miles per hour. So he's walking. That's pretty quick. He's not driving. He's walking.
He's going for 900 and...
Should we go? We should. Miss Ellis might walk at like 15 miles an hour. She walks so fast. Anyway, so now we gotta think this through. Does the hours that Dan walks depend on the miles, or do the miles that he walks depend on the hours?
The miles that you watch depends on the hour.
Good. The miles he walks depends on the hours. So my independent variable is hours or miles? Yeah, I mean, there's only other option. Yeah. The hours is independent because he can decide to walk for 1 hour, a half hour, 5 hours, 15 hours. I don't know how much this guy likes to walk. He could walk for a really long time if he wants, right? So that is going to change. The independent variable is going to change the amount of hours. And then the dependent is miles, the distance that he walks. But for the hour is independent, so it's only the miles that depends on the hours. Okay. So the hours will change. We can't decide how far he or how long he wants to walk. The hours will change, and the miles will depend on how long he decides to walk. Have you guys ever seen that video where it's a dad, I think, he's asking his daughter, if I'm driving 60 miles per hour, how far do I go in an hour? What's the answer? I drive 60 miles per hour. How far do I drive in an hour? 60. Yeah.
No.
60 miles per hour in 1 hour.
I don't know what, but it was
If you think of it, let us know. Let's look at number 3.
Technology.
Austin charges $17 to mow a yard. So he can mow 1 yard. He can mow 10 yards. He can mow 4 yards. So what is changing? What's our independent variable?
how many yards he mows?
How many yards he mows. So the number of yards is independent. He can be asked in a weekend to mow 8 yards.
Not that much.
That sounds like a lot of work, though. Depends on how big the yard is.
Depending how.
So the number of yards is going to change every weekend depending on how many people need him to mow their lawn, right? The dependent variable is the money he makes.
I know my friends they have a pretty big backyard, and then I do the front yard. The front yard isn't as big as their backyard.
It's a good way to make a little bit of money.
It's $75 less. But like doesn't make sense.
That makes sense. So in this case, the money he makes depends on how many yards he mows. How are we doing? Is it making a little bit of sense? Doing all right out there? All right. What about online? How are we doing? Doing okay out there? All right, cool. Awesome answer. Okay. Number 4. On the way to the beach, Caleb's car travels 60 miles per hour. This is very similar to Dan walking, but in this case, Caleb is just in a car. So what is your independent variable here? The hours. Because the hours changes. He can drive for 5 hours, 2 hours, 7 hours. So the hours is your independent. You can go any length of time you want to go. Your distance and how far you travel will depend on that. So the miles you travel depends on how long you drive. Whew.
If you notice it, it's going in a pattern.
Yeah.
Miles, money, miles, money. Yeah. We got one more, and then we're gonna look over at the practice ones that we have for today. Number 5 says Faith buys video games at Villa Video or Via Video, depends on how you say it. The DVDs cost $12 each at Villa Video.
So, how many do you buy?
That's a good way to say that. Dawn just said that it depends on how many she buys, right? So that makes that our independent variable because the amounts that she buys changes the money that she has to spend. So the number of videos is independent.
I honestly did not even get that right.
But you made a good statement, so I took it and ran with it. So we don't know how many videos she wants to buy. Maybe this is like Blockbuster. You can go and buy 8 videos if you want, or you can buy 1. So the number of videos she gets is independent. She can get as many as she wants. But the amount of money she spends depends on how many videos she buys. It's just like if you think about going to Circle K and getting a big gulp. The amount of money you spend depends on how many big gulps you buy, right? Yeah, Polar Pop, yeah. Is that what they're called now? Not a big gulp? I don't get them. I don't like to drink that much of anything at once. That's a lot. But then it gets watery because the ice melts in it.
You put it in a fridge or a freezer.
I'm just gonna stick with drinking a lot of water instead. All right. So we're not gonna finish out these next 5 because we're gonna move on to what we are gonna do next. So if you would like to, you can close out of this and turn in that one assignment with the notes and stuff. You can get. Well, we're not done, but you can turn in that one assignment. And then we have some practice we get to do. There's 2 one-page assignments, basically. So it's like a front and back worksheet, I guess you could call it.
It's worth 10 points.
So let's open up the independent and dependent variable practice. There are 2 of them. One of them looks exactly like what we just did. If you open up the second one, it's exactly what we just did. You're going to tell me what the independent variable is and the dependent variable, and you're going to do that for all 10 questions. Exactly what we just did. The other one is slightly different, but you're telling me the independent and dependent variable on these 2. Let's open this one up so we can do 1 or 2 of these ones, and then we'll do 1 or 2 of the other one, and then I'm going to let you guys finish them up on your own. So go ahead and open up this one first. You can have both open if you want, but open the sideways one first.
All right.
Okay, looks like we're getting a lot of you guys onto this one. So let's do number 1 together. I want to kind of just show you what we need to do, and then I'm going to have you guys do the rest. So I'm going to zoom in on this. Go to 100. 100 is pretty good. So again, you are just going to tell me what the independent and the dependent variable are. The way that this works is we will read it first. Number 1, Mrs. Wilson is throwing a class pizza party. The more students, S, so S represents students, who attend the party, the more pizza pies, P, that we will need. So we need to figure out if the number of students depends on the pizza, or if the amount of pizza depends on the amount of students. Number of students depends on the pizza. So if I have 5 students, I think you have that backwards.
How do you think the school decides how many pizzas to buy on like pizza party days? How do you think they make that decision?
Students, it depends on how many students there are in the environment.
It depends on how many students.
Good.
So the students, number of students have more control over their pizza.
Yep. So the number of students, maybe. So pizza the amount of pizza you need is determined by how many students are in the classroom. So the students is your independent variable here. So we just need to put the letter S to show me that the students is independent. We could have 10 students in the classroom, or we could have 25 students. And that's going to change the amount of pizza we buy. So that means our dependent variable is what? P, the pizza. You're just putting the letter. Tell me what the independent variable is and what the dependent one is.
Imagine if it was like the other way around, and it was like the number of pizza affects the number of students. And it's like, all right, we have 2 pizzas for the whole school.
Only if 4 students get to eat it. Sorry. Yeah, that would be sad. So on this one, you are finishing up 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 on your own. And then on the other part of the assignment, there are 10 of those ones that we just did. And they're very similar to the ones that we just did as well. So your goal is to finish up these 2. Both of them are graded. They're combined together to make 15 points total. 16 points, because there's 16 questions. Okay? So you're doing both of them. Okay. So I will put on a little bit of music and let you guys get working on this. Finish up both of them. You have about 20 minutes right now. If you need more time, you have plenty of time at other times of the day. So go ahead and start working on both of these. I will put that in the chat that you need to finish both and let you guys be working. All right. So I put it in the chat, but once you finish up both of them, you can get it turned in, and then so you can log out, and we'll see you at 12:30 for science. So make sure you are finishing both. Both are graded.